ever thrown a coin into a fountain and secretly hoped it might actually change your life? They say if you throw a coin into the Trevi fountain, you'll return to Rome. But what if I told you that the real mystery isn't in the toss at all, but in what lies beneath? Ancient aqueducts, sealed chambers, and whispers of forgotten statues all slumber just below your feet. Why were some passages bricked up? Some say for safety, but maybe, just maybe, they are hiding Rome's darker secrets. Are you ready to go under?
Trevi is the largest Baroque fountain in the city and one of the most famous fountains in the world. The name Trevi comes from the Italian tre, meaning three, and vi, meaning roads. 3 roads. Long before tourists gathered here with gelato in hand, 3 ancient Roman streets converged right at this very spot. The fountain wasn't designed just as a showstopper for Rome's thirsty aesthetic. It had to work. Underneath the theatrical sculptures and booming water was concealed an intricate system of underground channels, designed to handle the massive water flow from the restored Aqua Virgo aqueduct. The beauty above had to be supported by something invisible, but strong beneath. Gravity, pressure, drainage, all masterfully balanced in a time before computers, calculators, or even rubber gaskets. The Trevi fountain stands a massive 85 feet tall and is almost 65 feet wide, with water pumping out of multiple sources and the large pool in front. While most modern fountains rely on treated tap water, the Trevi fountain still dances to an ancient rhythm. Yes, you heard that right. The Trevi still uses natural spring water, bubbling from the same source that Roman soldiers once drank from after their dusty marches. In 1629, Pope Urban VIII, finding the earlier fountain insufficiently dramatic, asked Gian Lorenzo Bernini to sketch possible renovations. However, the project was abandoned when the Pope died. Though Bernini's project was never constructed, there are many Bernini touches in the fountain as it exists today. More than 100 years after the initial plans for renovation were made in 1730, Pope Clement XII held a contest to design a new fountain. It was a so-called gift to the people from the Pope, created to beautify the square in front of his palace, the Palazzo Poli. Many important architects participated, but in the end, Nicola Salvi won the rights to design the fountain, though some theories say he may not have been the first choice. Alessandro Galilei, an architect from the same family as the famous astronomer Galileo, originally won the commission for the project. However, it was ultimately given to Salvi after a public outcry. The reason for the public's objections? Galilei was a Florentine, while Salvi was a native Roman.
Salvi's project for the fountain was also the least expensive, a possible deciding factor for Pope Clement. In any case, the Pope approved the financing of the works and used the third extraction of the Lata game to pay for it. That's right, the money earned from the reintroduction of the Lata in Rome financed the Trevi fountain. Work on this architectural masterpiece began in 1732, but the massively complex job was anything but plain sailing. During construction, many men were injured, and a few died when working with enormous stone. The fountain took more than 30 years to build. Just imagine 3 decades of chiseling, carving, planning, and pipe laying. However, Salvi never saw this fountain completed. 11 years after his death in 1762, a different pope, Clemens VIII, officially completed and inaugurated the new Trevi fountain. According to some, Salvi too fell victim to the fountain, succumbing to the respiratory disease after spending so many years inhaling stone dust on the building site. Following Salvi's death, sculptor Pietro Bracci oversaw the progress until its completion. When Salvi designed a fountain, a palace, now Palazzo Poli, was on the site, so he incorporated the fountain into the rear of the building. Salvi's vision was grand. There's a sea god in the center, but not who you think it is. One would expect the god to be Neptune. That god, however, turns out to be the Greek sea god Oceanus. You can tell by the way he's flanked by seahorses and mermen. The statues represent the different characteristics of rivers and seas. Oceanus stands over 19 feet tall. That's almost the height of a two-story building. Just imagine how much marble it took to carve him. The fountain faces west, so at sunset the marble statues glow like molten gold, and it seems as if Oceanus himself is rising from the fire. Rome's Trevi fountain hides more than coins and whispered wishes. It conceals a delicious tale about a sculpture known as the Ace of Cups.
Let's travel back to the 18th century. Nicola Salvi, the architect behind the Trevi fountain, was deeply immersed in bringing Rome's most famous fountain to life, a commission that had taken decades to materialize. His work was majestic, full of allegory and symbolism. But not everyone appreciated his vision. As the story goes, Salvi was constantly harassed by a stubborn local barber whose shop stood just behind the construction site. Salvi, a man of great pride and perhaps a flair for drama, eventually had enough. Salvi designed the odd vase and placed it directly in front of the barber's shop window. Not only did it block the view, but its exaggerated shape, like a comically oversized goblet, was meant to ridicule. And so the Ace of Cups was born. Now, was this really revenge? According to official documents, the vase might have been a purely aesthetic element, simply balancing the composition. Romans, known for their love of gossip and great storytelling, have passed down this tale for centuries. Tour guides still point it out with a wink, and locals smile knowingly. So the next time you toss a coin into the Trevi fountain, turn your gaze slightly to the right and look for the little vase. Just steps from the fountain's edge, beneath modern Rome hides an archaeological gem, Vicus Caprarius, known as the City of Water. Discovered in 1999 during a routine renovation, this hidden complex revealed remnants of ancient Roman cisterns, which were once used to store water brought by the aqueduct. They were part of an entire system of water management that ensured clean water could be held, cooled, redirected, and rationed. Even in a city as bustling and chaotic as ancient Rome, water wasn't left to chance. Now it's a real underground museum, open to the public, and it feels like stepping into another world. Tourist guides love to spin the tale of a secret royal swimming pool under the Trevi. It's a crowd pleaser, especially when you're basking in the fountain's glow at sunset. But as romantic as it sounds, this particular rumor is all water and no truth. Beneath the Trevi, you won't find velvet lounges or marble staircases fit for emperors. Instead, it's a maze of service corridors, hydraulic chambers, ancient Roman masonry, and yes, endless water pipes. But the truth, while less poetic, is no less incredible. The water you see doesn't come from the modern plumbing. The Trevi fountain is fed by the Aqua Vergine, one of the oldest aqueducts in Rome, originally built in 19 BC by Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, the brilliant general, to supply water to the Roman baths. Why Aqua Vergine? According to legend, Roman soldiers, hot, parched, and wandering, encountered a local virgin girl who led them to a pure water spring, hidden in the countryside. Moved by this providential encounter, the aqueduct that would bring that same water to Rome was named Aqua Vergine, virgin water. Historians acknowledge this story as a charming myth, but one tightly wrapped around the truth. The water from those springs was, and still is, astonishingly clear. So whether it was divine luck or Roman surveying, the name has stuck for over 2,000 years.
Now here's where things turn mysterious. Not all of the underground passages and rooms beneath the Trevi fountain are open, even to workers. Some sealed-off chambers remain permanently closed, either due to safety concerns or perhaps because no one truly knows what's still inside. If you're dreaming of sneaking a peek beneath the fountain, think again. Yes, some underground tours in Vicus Caprarius near Trevi are possible, but don't expect candlelit catacombs stretching under the marble facade. No glass floors, no free access, no theatrical descents. The hidden underbelly is carefully controlled, viewed by reservation only, and tightly confined to the archaeological chambers. It's a rare slice of Rome that remains unseen, untouched by selfie sticks and tour guides. In a city where ruins are practically part of the furniture, the underground of the Trevi fountain remains an enigma, guarded, humming with echoes and forever just out of reach. The underground chambers are so humid that they could rival a rainforest terrarium. Metal rusts rapidly, limestone sweats, and mold lurks in the shadows. Maintenance teams must constantly monitor the space as the delicate balance of water, air, and ancient stone is easily disturbed. This isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Humidity can corrode metal reinforcements, leading to long-term structural issues if left unchecked. The very element that gives the fountain life, water, also threatens to age it faster than time alone ever could. Imagine this. You step into the underground chamber and hear something unexpected. Not a soft trickle or calming burble, but a roar like a storm at sea. That's no exaggeration. The subterranean acoustics beneath the Trevi fountain amplify the sound of rushing water to thunderous levels. Thanks to the way ancient Roman architects designed the aqueduct system, the underground tunnels create natural amplifiers. Down there, the gushing of water from the Aqua Virgo aqueduct doesn't just flow, it booms. Have you ever considered the intelligence of ancient Roman plumbing? It wasn't just functional, it was a work of engineering art. In Vicus Caprarius, you can see lead and terracotta pipes still embedded in the walls. While the use of lead is controversial today and possibly linked to lead poisoning in elite Romans, at the time it was revolutionary, flexible, durable, and easily molded. Even more astonishing, Roman water distribution followed a hierarchical system. Public fountains and baths were supplied first, while wealthy households and imperial palaces had access to private connections. That's right, water had a class system.
Think about that. How many empires have risen and fallen while that water kept flowing? Julius Caesar's Rome, the Byzantine Empire, medieval kingdoms, the Renaissance, all while Aqua Virgo kept whispering under the ground. Yes, this underground lifeline still brings fresh spring water from Salone, roughly 20 kilometers east of Rome, just as it did when gladiators still fought in the Colosseum. Through a meticulously engineered system of channels, gravity, and stone, water glides gently into the heart of Rome, feeding not just the Trevi, but several other historic fountains. The Trevi, unlike modern fountains powered by pumps and pipes, is a living, breathing extension of the Roman Empire's hydraulic genius. No electricity, no trickery. But the Trevi isn't just a triumph of engineering, it's also a keeper of legends. Few people notice the small rectangular basin tucked to the right of the central fountain, with two tiny spouts. This is the Fountain of Lovers, where, according to Roman legend, couples who drink together are destined to stay faithful and in love forever. Every coin, every wish, every drop of water adds to its legend. Let's talk treasure. Countless legends whisper about secret vaults and chambers under the Trevi fountain, echoing tales of hidden Roman riches or even papal stashes guarded by shadows. Sorry to disappoint the Indiana Jones in all of us, but these are just, well, fountain fiction. There are no treasure chests, no secret Vatican passageways, despite the city's flair for intrigue. Now, for something a bit more practical but still impressive. The Trevi fountain sits atop Tufa, a porous volcanic stone. Tufa is both light and strong, and the Romans greatly admired it. They carved catacombs into it, they built aqueducts with it, they trusted it to hold up their empire and their fountains. In fact, much of Rome sits on this Tufa foundation. While these catacombs are not directly beneath the fountain itself, Their proximity lends a haunting undertone to the area's already rich history. What about the Colosseum? Funny enough, the Colosseum also owes its endurance to the same humble stone, Tufa. When the Flavian emperors set out to build the grandest amphitheater in the world, they relied on this trusted material for their foundation and support walls. The Colosseum's inner skeleton, what still stands tall despite earthquakes and looting, is held together in part by tufa blocks. So, in a way, the Trevi Fountain and the Colosseum are geological siblings, both rising from the same volcanic breath of ancient Italy. Before Nicola Salvi's masterpiece took shape in the 18th century, the site looked very different, far less theatrical and much more domestic. Historical records and excavations confirm that small medieval houses once stood right where the foundation now towers. These weren't grand villas or noble residences. They were modest homes, perhaps belonging to cobblers, bakers, or widowed seamstresses. When the fountain's construction began, these houses were torn down, but their foundations weren't destroyed, they were buried. Today, traces of their walls and cellars lie hidden under layers of stone. A haunting tale speaks of a woman whose home was destroyed during the construction of Aqua Virgo. Her ghost is said to appear in the water's reflection at midnight. Creepy? Yes. Verified? No. But in Rome, never say never.
Imagine standing in front of the Trevi Fountain and just below your feet, perhaps less than 33 feet down, ancient shopkeepers once hawked wine, olives, and bolts of cloth to passing Roman citizens. Archaeologists believe that under the Piazza di Trevi and surrounding areas lie remnants of ancient Roman roads, possibly even shops and homes from nearly 2,000 years ago. While no full excavation had been permitted beneath the fountain itself, likely to avoid damaging its structure, limited surveys suggest that the heart of the piazza overlays older imperial foundations. It makes sense. Archaeologists discovered that after a fire during Nero's reign, this part of the city was rebuilt and repurposed as a residential area with private bath, a slice of ancient luxury now buried beneath modern Rome. According to the archaeologists, again, under the marble and cobblestones are the Renaissance foundations, remnants of 15th century urban development. Dig deeper and you'll find medieval cellars where residents may have stored wine, grain, or perhaps secrets of their own. But the story doesn't stop there. Rome always hides another layer, another whisper from the past, waiting to be unearthed. And just when you think you've reached the bottom, there's more. Just meters from the Trevi Fountain, hidden like a secret tucked into the folds of Rome, lies a small 17th century underground chapel. It was discovered not beneath the fountain itself, but astonishingly close, beneath a building adjacent to Piazza di Trevi. A few steps away from these ancient remnants lies another hidden marvel. Beneath the fountain's theatrical beauty lies a very practical system, ancient flood drains. These hidden passages, many of which are part of the Aqua Virgo aqueduct system, still channel rainwater away from the Piazza di Trevi.
When storms hit Rome, and they do, it's these subterranean veins that keep the square from becoming a Venetian lagoon. It's brilliant, really. The Romans didn't just build fountains to look pretty, they built them to work. These drains are like the lungs of the Trevi, breathing in water and exhaling it away, saving the square above from drowning. Like all significant Roman landmarks, the Trevi Fountain's foundations are laced with rumors, some true, some not, but all delicious. A popular legend claims there's a secret tunnel running from the Trevi Fountain to the Vatican, used by popes to escape danger. While such tunnels do exist elsewhere in Rome, no confirmed passage has been found here yet. Another rumor suggests that director Federico Fellini once envisioned building a private viewing chamber beneath the Trevi Fountain, where he could sit and watch the water in silence. There's no evidence of it, but considering this is the man who made La Dolce Vita, would you be surprised? We all know the legend. Toss a coin with your right hand over your left shoulder and you'll return to Rome. Millions believe in that myth and throw their hopes in the form of shiny euros into the basin every year. The legend says 1 coin brings you back, 2 ensures romance, and 3 means marriage. Whether you believe it or not, the coins add up. Every morning before the crowds arrive, the fountain is cleaned and Rome's civil workers collect the coins. While tourists above snap selfies and whisper their wishes, a heavily guarded security vault lies directly beneath the fountain's basin. This is where all those shimmering coins, amounting to more than 1.5 million euros a year, are funneled before being collected by municipal workers. It's not just euros. In the water, they find dollars, yen, pounds, pesos, hryvnias, and even old lira coins. The coins don't stay long. They're gathered and sent to Caritas, a Catholic charity that supports Rome's most vulnerable. Perhaps for just that reason, it's illegal to fish out coins from the fountain. There's even a Trevi fountain curse. They say if you steal a coin from the fountain, luck will turn away from you for 7 years. In the past, it was common for gangs of thieves to sweep the coins out of the fountain at night. In fact, 3 were caught by a TV show using a hidden camera in 2011. In 2012, tourists tried to steal coins from the fountain using magnets and even vacuum cleaners. The police stopped them. The most famous raider, however, was Roberto Cercioletta, known by his nickname D'Artagnan. He stole the coins from the fountain for 34 years before he was caught in the summer of 2002.
Clearly, people can't resist the Trevi's allure, but this obsession isn't new. It all started with a movie scene that made everyone want to step into the water. In 1960, the fountain leapt from Roman treasure to cinematic icon thanks to Federico Fellini's masterpiece La Dolce Vita. Who could forget Anita Ekberg dressed in a black evening gown wading through the waters as Marcello Mastroianni looks on bewitched? This moment forever changed the way the world sees the Trevi fountain. It was scandalous. The scene became immortal, irresistible. So irresistible, in fact, that many visitors decided to recreate the moment until Rome's city council had to intervene. In 1996, the fountain was turned off and draped in black crepe to honor the late La Dolce Vita star Marcello Mastroianni. The fountain's movie star fame is hard to ignore. After all, one unforgettable scene turned it from a Roman landmark into a global icon. Today, swimming in the Trevi fountain is strictly forbidden and can cost you a fine of up to 500 euros. And before you ask, no, dipping your toes isn't allowed either. The fountain may resemble a giant marble bathtub in the summer heat, but it remains a national monument, not a movie set. Since then, the fountain has become not just a symbol of Rome, but of Italy's seductive mix of elegance and abandon. From Roman Holiday, where Audrey Hepburn rides a Vespa nearby, to Woody Allen's To Rome with Love, the fountain has played supporting roles in love stories, comedies, dramas, and daydreams. Directors return to it again and again, not just for its beauty, because it holds cinematic power. It's instantly recognizable, endlessly expressive, and dripping, literally, with meaning. Have you ever wondered why it appears so often in romantic films? Maybe because it's a place where wishes are made, a place where strangers become lovers, and everyday tourists feel, if only for a second, like stars themselves.
Rome may be known for its history above ground, but beneath its cobbled streets lies a delicate balance between time and tectonics. Italy is no stranger to earthquakes, and even minor tremors can have devastating consequences for structures as old and as heavy as the Trevi Fountain. That's why structural engineers and archaeologists regularly inspect the fountain's underground base. One small shift in the earth could threaten centuries of history. Cracks, pressure points, and soil shifts are monitored closely. The fear isn't just that a stone might fall, it's that an entire chapter of Roman artistry could come crashing down. In 2013, after a particularly worrisome series of minor quakes, experts conducted underground surveys to ensure the stability of the foundation. Their verdict? So far, so good. But Rome never sleeps when it comes to its underground guardianship. It may look like the Trevi fountain has stood for centuries without breaking a sweat, but behind its eternal elegance lies some very modern muscle. In the 20th century, engineers took a hard look beneath the fountain and discovered something concerning. Time and tremors had taken their toll. So, what did they do? They reinforced its underground structure with thick slabs of concrete, foundation stabilizers expertly poured and positioned. They're essential. Without them, the fountain might have cracked, shifted, or worse, collapsed into the Roman soil. In 1989, this beauty needed a little spa treatment. After decades of Roman smog had left a sooty veil on its creamy travertine, skilled artisans got to work, scrubbing, polishing, and repairing its cracks. Like giving a queen a facial and a facelift, gentle but thorough. 10 years later, in 1998, the process was repeated with even greater care, this time adding recirculating pumps to maintain the water system's modern efficiency. That's right, those dreamy waters don't just tumble down by the will of Neptune, they're pumped with precision. Fast forward, and the story of the Trevi takes another glittering turn. In 1999, during work on a building near the fountain, archaeologists made a stunning discovery: a deep Roman well, hidden for centuries beneath the ground. This ancient structure, connected to the same Aqua Virgo aqueduct that still feeds the Trevi fountain, likely once served Roman homes and businesses in the area. The well is a reminder of how layered Rome really is, like a Millet foyer of time, with the modern city perched delicately atop a world that never quite disappeared. Beneath the cobblestones and limestone facade lies a kind of hidden time capsule. Archaeologists digging below the Trevi discovered stone blocks with masons' marks, essentially ancient builders' signatures carved into the rock. These weren't tags in neon spray paint, but etched initials, numbers, or symbols, left behind by laborers as a way to record their work, or perhaps claim credit.
But the most grand transformation came in 2014, courtesy of who else? Fendi. Yes, that Fendi. In a move worthy of fashion history, the legendary Italian brand funded a 2.2 million euro restoration of the fountain, calling it part of their Fendi for Fountains cultural heritage initiative. Imagine haute couture meeting hydraulic engineering. This was no quick polish. It was a 20-month ground-up revival of Rome's most beloved landmark. Skilled conservators painstakingly cleared each sculpted figure, restored the weather-worn details, and repaired the delicate stone with the same kind of care you'd expect in restoring a Renaissance painting. And then came the lights. More than 100 LED fixtures were installed, transforming the nighttime experience of the Trevi fountain into something truly cinematic. Think of it as Rome's most elegant evening gown, finally spotlighted on center stage. And Fendi? They celebrated with a fashion show on the fountain itself, featuring a clear plexiglass runway over the water. Yes, really, only in Rome can haute couture and ancient aqueducts coexist so effortlessly. And what if the most famous fountain in the world suddenly turned blood red before your eyes? On a quiet October day in 2007, stunned tourists gasped as crimson waves poured from the mouth of ancient marble statues. What looked like a horror scene was in fact the work of a rebellious artist. Graziano Cecchini, a well-known Italian provocateur, had emptied a vial of red dye into the fountain. Why? To wake the city up. According to Cecchini, this visual shock was a protest against political corruption and cultural neglect in Rome. His message was simple: Rome is bleeding. The dye spread rapidly through the water, thanks to the fountain's closed-circuit water system. That's right, the water you see falling over the rocky backdrop isn't constantly refreshed. It recirculates, which meant every single drop turned red within moments. Authorities were worried. Would the dye permanently stay in the stone? But luck was on Rome's side. The water was drained quickly, the dye washed away, and the fountain escaped unharmed. Though tourists didn't forget the site anytime soon. 10 years later, Cecchini struck again. On October 26, 2017, he once more dyed the Trevi fountain red. This time, the act was even more symbolic. With the Rome Film Festival underway, the artist cast the entire scene as theatrical drama, a performance piece with ancient ruins as the stage. Importantly, Cecchini used a non-toxic biodegradable dye, ensuring the protest was bold yet not damaging. Still, the sight of that red water gushing from Oceanus's beard was eerie, dramatic, and unforgettable. As the crimson water faded and fountain returned to its pristine white, tourists once again crowded around, cameras ready to capture its timeless beauty.
The Trevi Fountain is one of the most popular photo spots in the world. More than 10 million photos are taken here every year. It seems people couldn't get enough of tossing coins in Rome, so they brought a little Rome home. Replicas began to appear in the most surprising places. Replicas of the iconic Trevi Fountain have quietly popped up across the globe, like marble mirages, each with its own twist, story, and cultural backdrop. In 2023, deep in the Brazilian countryside, the small town of Serra Negra unveiled a staggering replica of the Trevi Fountain. Of course, Las Vegas, the city where the Eiffel Tower meets the Egyptian pyramids, had to have its own Trevi. Nestled beside Caesar's palace, the replica doesn't match the original in scale, but it does in spirit. Tourists toss coins, snap selfies, and live out their Roman holiday fantasy without ever leaving Nevada. Ready for a twist? One version of the Trevi Fountain lives underground, tucked inside Chamshil Station in Seoul's metro subway. It's delightfully unexpected, and a testament to just how globally beloved this fountain has become, even in places where you'd least expect it. Why would cities halfway across the world invest in replicas of a Roman fountain? Because the Trevi is more than stone and water. It's the heartbeat of Rome itself, a symbol of beauty, romance, and timeless allure. But perhaps the most tantalizing truth of all is this: we haven't found everything yet. Archaeologists believe there's much more hidden beneath the Trevi Fountain, unseen layers of history buried under layers of stone and time. Remnants of Roman baths, temple fragments, forgotten homes, maybe even clues to daily life from before the fountain itself existed. Rome, after all, is built like a lasagna of civilizations, each era stacked atop another, each slice a different flavor of history. Under the Trevi, only portions have been uncovered, and most of them during careful restoration projects. Each dig reveals just a hint, never the full story. The challenge? To explore deeper without compromising the delicate balance above. For now, much of this hidden Rome remains untouched, protected for future generations and perhaps future technology to uncover safely.
So the next time you toss a coin into the Trevi and hear the water crash, remember, you're not just hearing a fountain, you're hearing Rome breathe. And that sound? That's infinity in motion. Want to dive deeper into Rome's secrets? From forbidden tunnels beneath the Colosseum and hidden rooms under the Vatican, explore more stories on our channel. Hit that next video because the Eternal City is full of surprises.